You ever stand on your own porch, mug of coffee in hand, and watch a line of SUVs crawl right through your private driveway like they own the place? I swear. The first time I heard tires crunching over my gravel at 7 in the morning, I thought it was the mailman or maybe a lost Uber, until I saw a kid in a Letterman jacket behind the wheel of a shiny Range Rover, giving me a look like I was the trespasser, not him. He honked, swerved around my dog Moose, who's too old to dodge teenagers, and disappeared through a gate I definitely never built. That's how I found out my peace and quiet. The whole reason I bought this corner lot in Willow Creek Heights was about to get murdered by the neighborhood HOA. Name's Dan Miller, industrial engineer by trade, bad poker face by nature. I'd been working from home for years, loving my long curved driveway tucked away from the busy part of the neighborhood. I paid a pretty penny for that extra privacy. Turns out, privacy doesn't mean squat when your HOA decides your property would make a convenient detour while they repave the main road. First few tire marks I saw near my hedges. I thought maybe the garbage truck turned around or my next-door neighbor's kid was sneaking driving lessons. But by day 3, I find a cheap plywood sign staked right at my lawn's edge, handwritten in Sharpie, Community Flow Access approved by Willow Creek HOA. Now I know how these HOA folks think. They'll bicker half an hour about whether my porch light is too bright, but they'll move an entire road through my backyard if they feel like it. So I took a deep breath, yanked up that sign like it insulted my mama, and marched straight to the HOA office, which used to be a model home until Karen Parker claimed it for her royal court. If you've never met a true HOA queen bee, let me paint you a picture. Karen's the kind who talks like a perfume ad until you say the word no. Then she snaps into a prosecutor with a Bible in one hand and bylaws in the other. She smiles at me over her gold iPad like I'm her wayward nephew. Oh, Mr. Miller, we just needed a temporary flow solution for the Maple Grove construction. It's only a few weeks. Your property is just so accessible. I tell her flat out, you have zero legal right to run cars through my drive. None. She taps her tablet, keeps smiling. Actually, technically, your drive sits adjacent to the neighborhood boundary, so under our soft access clause, the board approved it unanimously. We'll revisit it at next month's meeting. I said, show me where that clause lives in the county records. She says, oh, I'd be delighted to at the meeting. I walked home thinking, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I should chain off the drive for a bit. But the next morning, my wife Meg wakes me up whispering, Dan, did you install a gate on the back fence? I stagger out in slippers, and there it is. A rickety wooden swing gate right where my rosebush used to be, fresh gravel laid down, bright orange cones, and a neat little sign. Exit only, drive slow. They didn't even knock to ask. Just bulldozed a piece of my hedge, laid down their fake gravel road, and called it community improvement. That night, I called my cousin Benny. He's a property lawyer. The laid-back kind who does free consultations at the family barbecue, but will bury you in paperwork if you cross him. He just laughed when I told him, document everything. Don't touch the gate yet. Let him dig their own hole. Meanwhile, you get comfy, buddy, 'cause you're about to own half the HOA's bank account when I'm done. Next morning, I'm sipping my coffee when 7 SUVs nose down my driveway in a row like it's a suburban conga line. One honked at my trash bins, another waved at me like I'm the valet. The last straw? A lady in a minivan rolls her window down, says, hey, could you move your mailbox? It's tricky to swing wide with my toddler in the back. I didn't even know whether to laugh or cry. That evening, I spot Mitch, the neighborhood's unofficial fishing guide and resident fence sitter, lingering by my hedge, looking like he owes me money. He whispers, look. Karen's telling the board she's filing a petition to get the county to mark your drive as an emergency exit. She calls it an unofficial easement. She's got 2 board members on her side. If she gets 3 more, she's gonna make it permanent. I just stood there, scratching Moose's head, feeling my pulse thump in my temple. These people weren't just rude. They were plotting to legally steal my land under some half-baked safety loophole. But they'd made one tiny mistake. They assumed I'd fold. I don't fold. I design logistics for a living: security gates, forklift barriers, motorized deterrents. If you need to keep a 2-ton truck out of a warehouse, I'm your guy. And my driveway? About to become my best piece of work. Before I even got to that, though, the HOA pushed harder, like gamblers doubling down on a bad hand. I'm brushing my teeth one morning when Moose starts barking like we've got raccoons breakdancing in the yard. I glance out the bathroom window, See 4 guys in neon vests chainsawing my fence down. No trim, no polite knock, straight up sawing through to connect my backyard to the park trail. I bolt outside, barefoot, foam still in my mouth, yell over the saw noise. Who gave you permission for this? One guy shouts back, Karen approved it. Alternate access for community flow. That cursed word again. Flow. This isn't a yoga studio, it's my yard. I called the sheriff's office. Officer was polite, but said without clear criminal intent, it's a civil dispute. Benny, my cousin, nearly choked laughing when I told him. Let him. More damages. Just keep filming. So I did. And then I showed up at their next emergency board meeting at the clubhouse, folding chairs, stale cookies, and Karen perched like a smug owl at the head table. I walked in with a giant property map and a thumb drive full of footage. She barely let me speak. Oh, Mr. Miller, wonderful you could join. We were just discussing how your parcel is critical to maintaining safe community access. I cut her off. It's not your parcel. It's mine. And you're trespassing. She clacked her iPad. Slides popped up behind her. Temporary easement proposal for parcel 19B. There's my driveway, highlighted in Comic Sans. 3 bullet points about community flow and emergency routing. I laughed so hard half the room turned red. Karen tried to plow ahead, called for a vote, 3-2, passed in favor. She grinned like a cat with a goldfish stuck in its teeth. As I left, Benny texted, relax. She just voted herself into a corner. Now we get to nail improper. I went home, popped a cold beer, sat on my porch with Moose, and sketched what I'd been dreaming up since that Range Rover first rattled past my roses. I ordered a fresh truckload of industrial-grade gravel, stuff that could chew a tire to ribbons if you sped over it wrong. Then I cracked open my old designs for a retractable spike strip, battery-powered, solar-charged, Bluetooth remote. Something I'd built for warehouse theft deterrence years ago but never got to see in action. 2 days later, my driveway looked like a logging trail from a horror movie. Sharp gravel spread thick as icing, and right in the middle, under an innocent metal plate, my pride and joy, Spikezilla. I tested it with my old Honda, slow pass, retract spikes, smooth ride. Then full spike test, tires hissed flat in seconds. I giggled like a kid with a firecracker. Next morning, I made a sign. Private property. No through traffic. Proceed at your own risk. Hung at dead center for Karen and her convoy to see. 20 minutes later, who do I see but Karen herself, in her white Escalade, pulling onto my gravel with 3 cars tailing her like baby ducks. She didn't even slow down, must have thought the new gravel was a landscaping upgrade she'd find me for later. She hit the spike plate doing 15 km/h chunk. Both front tires exploded so fast I swear Moose flinched behind me. Her SUV skidded to a humiliating halt halfway across my drive. Rims chewing gravel like popcorn kernels. She threw her door open, teetered out in designer heels, and screamed at me across 30 feet of rattling metal. You sabotaged the road. I sipped my tea, patted Moose's head. Driveway, Karen, not a road. And you were warned. She shook a finger so hard her sunglasses fell off. You'll hear from the HOA's lawyers. I smiled. You'll hear from Benny. Again. Next day, a letter came. HOA demanded immediate removal of my dangerous installations. Benny fired back with a cease and desist, footage, maps, and a little note reminding them we'd sue them personally for damages plus trespass. They tried one more time. An emergency ordinance in the newsletter declaring my drive an emergency corridor again. But Benny and I marched it straight to the county inspector, John, a grizzled old fella who used to work zoning and knew Karen's whole bag of tricks. He laughed so hard he snorted when he saw her forged map. She's got nerve. This is going to be fun. At the next HOA meeting, packed wall to wall, Benny played the hidden cam footage of Karen's nephew Todd cutting my fence at midnight. Then I handed Karen a manila envelope. Inside, the deed to a small triangle of abandoned land behind my fence. Bought it last month, fair and square. The shortcut she'd built her whole plan on? Now mine too. One board member squeaked. Motion to remove Karen as president. Another seconded. Every hand in the room went up like church on Sunday. Karen stormed out, heels clacking, threats flying. None of them worth a nickel. Week later, the driveway's quiet again. Spikezilla sits on standby. My sign's still up. Neighbors bring me beers instead of complaints now. And the best part? Mitch asked if I'd host the next block barbecue right on my gravel. He says, Shortcuts closed. Parties open. So hey, next time your HOA thinks they can outvote your deed, remember, document everything. Design clever, and always have a Benny. Now I want to hear from y'all. Drop me a comment. Did I go too far? Or not far enough? And what would you have done if Karen parked her Escalade on your roses? Smash that like button, share this with your neighborhood group chat, and subscribe for more HOA horror stories. See y'all next time. Moose says hi.